I messaged you like, was it just before the weekend, saying this podcast needs to be about the Man United Liverpool game. I don't know why, because usually since Fergie, I've kind of accepted United are going to get beat. It hurts, it's annoying, it kind of ruins the day, but I've almost got over it, because you have to get over it when you're getting managed by David Moyes and Van Gaal. But now, even though we haven't won the league since Fergie, or like challenged for the Champions League, or being that sort of club yet, I feel like that Liverpool game just set me back to the days under Fergie, where I would automatically check when the next game was, because that's what I needed to get over it. That was a Thursday night. Spoilers, might got beat. If anyone doesn't know, got beat 4-2. Girlfriend went to bed, and I had to sit and watch something because I couldn't just fall asleep with that in my mind. That's the first time in a long time, which I don't know why. Maybe it's because with Solskjaer, there's promise. We're potentially on the verge of, if the Glazers back Ole during the summer, we could actually challenge, and that's for United fans. We can actually see that. I'm not saying we are going to challenge, because we need this. We still need to buy like 3 players, 3 good players, not 3 fucking like youngsters. 3 signings that could walk in that team and actually compete. And I think we're close to it. And I think beating Liverpool, who were obviously the champions last season, kind of cemented us in terms of like, we're better than you now, and we've progressed so much that we are beating you and finished comfortably ahead of you. And I think that loss just kind of brought it right back. We're not that good yet. Made me kind of stop getting ahead of myself, which I never did the last few seasons. But this season, I kind of did. I kind of went into that game thinking, even though we played Leicester 2 days beforehand, we still should beat this team.
Change the whole team.
Exactly. But you know what I mean? I still went in that game thinking that we are the better team. We are finishing above yous. We're finishing second. We're in the Europa League final. You've done fuck all this season. And somehow our team just decided to implode. Just decided to go, here, let's give them a few goals. But for you, what was your take on the game?
So, with Liverpool, it's more because I know a lot of Liverpool fans. With United, I don't get as annoyed anymore if we get beat, because I get more annoyed sometimes when we just don't play well. Sometimes when we win and I'm like, yeah, it's good to win, like, but we played shite there, and that annoys me sometimes, because I think I just want us to play slightly better football. It's all I've wanted to do in it. I just want to sit there and enjoy watching football. So it's weird, that Liverpool match, I was actually enjoying the game. It was a good game. I was like, see, if I didn't support Ellery's team, it's actually a good game to watch. Like, it was good crack. But for me, it's because there are people that I know that are Liverpool fans, and they will get carried away and whatever. But I think it's never, it's all times a football cliche, but like, Liverpool aren't as bad as they are this season. We're not as good. Like, it's never as bad as it is, and it's never
always
as good
in the middle.
United and Liverpool, I looked at it, they're both poor teams at the minute. Like, they are. Like, United can finish second, what have you. We're still not a good team. And Liverpool aren't that good. And I was just like, I looked at the match, I was like, I didn't think they were that good, but they were better than us on the day, and they fully deserved to win. But 4-2 is flattering, because it was one of those games that was either going to end 3-8 or 4-2. It wasn't like you just came here and you scored 4 goals and battered us. For about 20 minutes, I thought United were very good. Then it was all Liverpool, and then we had about 10 minutes in the second half where I was like, it was all United. When Greenwood come on especially, I thought, like, it tends to happen when you make a sub. Like, it can really change, like, the balance of the game. But one thing that really pissed me off, and I know maybe this is me being really harsh and I can be really critical, see Salah's goal at the end, right?
Henderson.
I've never seen more, like, you don't expect a goalkeeper to make a save one-on-one. Like, the striker should always score. But when you watch it, I was like, you wouldn't see that anywhere else. He didn't know where the middle of his goal was. And the whole, like, I watched it and you seen it coming through, and I was like, well, just slot it past him. I was like, look, he literally has like half of the net open.
I thought it was almost like he was like, here we go, and then he was going to dive before he shot and save it. No, something like that. He was like almost showing him that goal, and he just didn't. I was like, that was so obvious. And we being big fans of Dean Henderson, we do think it is the changing of the guard now. We do. I think both of us have said on this podcast that David De Gea needs to be. Not saying David De Gea is worse. I think David De Gea still as a shot stopper is better. But I think for my going forward next 5-10 years, David De Gea isn't going to be there. So we need to think of who to replace him, and we have a youth goalkeeper who's one of the best in the league potentially, and could be world best if you give him the platform and if he lives up to his potential. So I think that's why the change is happening, not because David De Gea is poor or anything.
But for me, I was looking at that thinking, right, if De Gea was in nets, if Prime Schmeichel was in nets, you'd probably still back Salah to score anyway. He made it really easy for him. I was like, holy shit, that really worried me a bit.
I think honestly, if we had David Head in that, he probably saves a few of them goals.
Maybe.
Even the Jota one, that's prime fucking
The head
saves,
leg,
yeah, his foot. And then the way leaving like Firmino back post, it was a good header and all, good run, good ball in the box, but just felt like David De Gea reads them more. But that's what we always say, David De Gea's shot stopping ability is the best.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anyone better than him, but it's his overall play. I think you've seen this season whenever Dean Henderson's came into play or came into the team, that our back four looked better, I think. And I don't think that's just a coincidence. I think the way Dean Henderson, it almost acts as a sweeper keeper. That gives an insurance to the back four, and something that we lack in our, but especially our centre backs, Maguire and Lindelof, it's speed. When you have a goalkeeper like Henderson who comes out and is able to clear the ball, David De Gea doesn't come out when the ball bounces in a 6-yard box.
What did you think of the whole? Obviously, Maguire's English, and there's a whole media narrative. When he wasn't in, it was really obvious. It was like, look how much you're missing Maguire. What did you think of that?
It's obvious. I think first season, I thought Maguire was good. It wasn't great, but he was good. Our first half of the second season, I thought like he was awful. But I do think since Christmas onwards, he has really shown how good he's been.
That's what I was thinking though, because I was looking, listen to them saying, you see how much you miss Maguire, and he's like, Maguire has put in some real dodgy performances, like some shocking performances in this United team as well. So it makes me think, and maybe more forgiving with the centre backs. I'm like, how often have they ever actually played together?
Eric Bailly and Victor Lindelof haven't played in the league in over 2 seasons.
So I said, come on, as well.
And Eric Bailly, who barely plays for us, who's always injured, played 2 games in 48 hours.
So
Luke Shaw, who had one of the best seasons of his career, and he's definitely hands down the best left back in that league, had his worst game in about 3 years for us.
Yeah, he wasn't great.
So, you know what I mean? We played as if we were fans. Almost like we're nervous on the ball. We didn't actually... Even Fred and Scott McTominay, who we've both said are not good enough to be our centre midfielders, they can produce on big games. We've seen against Man City, world-class performances. They played probably the worst game they've ever played all season.
I think on that, let's talk about that for a wee second. I agree, like Fred was really poor. But I genuinely do think, looking at that game, I thought they were giving way too much to do. And the reason being is like, see, when I watched the match, whenever Liverpool lost the ball, you see how quickly their whole team got behind the ball. Not one player from Liverpool was in front of the ball. As soon as United had the ball, Liverpool retreated. And there was obviously periods where we got through them and stuff, but I was like, that's clearly, they were clearly organised, right? See, when we lost the ball, you could actually, see if you put the match on, you could pause it at times we lost the ball. And literally, you've got Rashford, you've got Pogba, you've got Bruno, and you've got Cavani. And I think I texted you saying the only player that he has the right not to bust back here is Cavani, because he's the striker. He should be in front of the ball nearly. But I was like, it's not to say that Pogba and Rashford weren't getting back. They just weren't doing it as quickly as... So then they looked at the match and there's times where McTominay has to cover all here and Fred has to cover all here, everywhere. And I was like, the Liverpool midfielders had way more protection, not only from their defenders or whatever, from their actual attackers, from like Jota, from Salah. Like, they actually got back quicker than our way players is. And Rashford's not a right winger and Pogba's not a left winger, so what's going to happen? So that's one thing that I noticed in the game. I was like, yes, Fred and McTominay are not good enough, but they are so exposed here because they have to cover every blade of grass in that midfield because no one is getting back in quick enough. Like, Pogba doesn't have a defensive bone in his body, and I like him on the left wing because I think he's really creative there, but he even says himself, he doesn't know how to defend. And Rashford on the right, I think Rashford's okay on the left getting back. On the right, he just looks like a fish out of water. So I think that had a massive impact on the game. And I think against the smaller teams, you get away with it. See, against Liverpool, see, even like Chelsea, even City, you look at when City lose the ball, every one of them are back in shape and behind the ball. That's just how they play football. That's how big teams play football now. We don't really do that yet.
So let's talk about, like, do you not think that these 3 games in 5 days does play a part? Because we might do play big games. Well, not really this season, but against like the Man City and stuff and all too, they always do turn up. It's a real team performance. Yeah. That's something that we always see, like in the big games against, like, you beat Liverpool this season.
True with Chelsea at home.
Yeah, and I think in both games against Chelsea, we were slightly the better team.
We're playing Mata and James against Chelsea.
So, do you not think people say, or we've been saying, when Solskjaer plays the big games, he can't get it right the whole time, which shouldn't be the case because you should do against the small teams as well. Yeah. But like when you seen that Liverpool game, we were all over the place. It's almost like something that you don't expect from Solskjaer, or not think this time in particular. Just the 3 games in 5 days, probably was mentally draining, even though we changed the team against Leicester. But to physically and mentally and tactically prepare for them 3 games, you still need to take time from training sessions.
No, I get that.
Do you think sometimes That game, by the way, like I watched on Sky Sports, and the commentator never mentioned that Maya had played 48 hours before that. There, Liverpool hadn't played in 6 days before that. Maya still should have played better because Luke Shaw was bad, and I think Eric Bailly didn't play well, and Dean Henderson, all that crap. I know that, but do you know, I think there's an element out there. That game, as you said, 4-2 was a bit flattering for Liverpool. 3-2 was probably a fair result.
I do think they deserve to win. I think
that's I
understand what you're saying, but the problem with that is, if both teams had a week or 2 weeks rest before this game, Liverpool could still beat us like that. We don't know. Like, it's not as if like we've got turned over by a team that we would like you know what I mean? Like, it's like, oh my god, how did we lose that? It's like, we're not that good. They're not that good. We could, like, we play each other 10 times. We could win. They could win. That's what it's like. So you can maybe put it down to that. But again, if we had a rest, we still might have lost that. Like that.
But it's almost like, as you said before we started here, or no, when we started, is sometimes it's about like, you can get beat but play well. We got beat and didn't play well. I don't think we played that well. I think watching it this season, that was one of the worst I've seen them. Not because of like in terms of creating chances, because Cavani had a chance in the first half. He should have scored. Greenwood had one off the line, so we actually did create enough chances to score probably 4 goals past Liverpool and probably draw the game. But it was like almost like the whole attitude. The players just looked off it. Don't know what it was. And I keep pointing out Luke Shaw. I don't want to criticise him because he's been amazing this season. But him in particular, he is Mr. Reliable all season. And he just was off it. And that could have been, I'm just thinking, like, football is a game of fine margins. If you get like even like a day extra, that does play a huge part. We played 2 games when they had rest. I'm just thinking, was that the difference then?
I suppose, but the argument is a lot of those players didn't play. I think it's preparation, you mean?
Preparation, preparing for it, what tactics to do. You know what I mean? You still need to prepare. Maya plays Sunday, then a day off on Monday to prepare for the Leicester game.
Do you think Solskjaer would have put a lot of preparation into Leicester
if we didn't play Liverpool?
Do you not think, you know?
So the game
would have just prepped for Liverpool. So even though we had Leicester in the middle, he would have just prepped his first team for Liverpool and just went right the Leicester game. We're throwing the kids on anyway. Like, I guarantee
you're playing Leicester.
I don't think they gave that game a thought. Like,
I still need to prepare. You still need to have a look at videos. You need to still prepare that. You can't just go into a match against Leicester, who are third and FA Cup winners, potentially Champions League contenders, but in the Champions League next season. You gotta prepare because you'll get beat fucking 6. They're a good team, Leicester. So they beat fucking Man City 5-1.
No, I know they're a good team. I'm not saying they're good. I just don't think Solskjaer would have been having sleepless nights or preparing, prepping.
I think I think he basically just said fuck it. Yeah. But I think he's still prepared. I think he still had the team out and like watching me already watch these runs prepare. Obviously, a manager can't be there every second. Even like you're there, but you're kind of allowing your coaching staff to take charge. But you still need to prepare for that. And how much like that? When you have one day to prepare for a match like Leicester and one day to prepare for a match like Liverpool, like it's tough enough. Like,
yeah, no, I agree. I just think it's just a fan argument. You know what I mean? Because it's like, if Liverpool, for example, had the same, I wouldn't give a fuck. And I wouldn't even
I'm not taking away.
Thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because I'm not saying it. I'm just saying like, the reason I'm bringing it up because when I was watching the game, I felt like Gary Neville and Jimmy Carragher were getting a bit carried away with the game. Because Liverpool played well from say the 20th minute to the 60th minute, and I might have played well for like 20 minutes, and the game kind of went flat, and then they kind of scored in a counter attack at the end. So it wasn't clearly all Liverpool, but if we listen to commentating, I think that's the way it was, and that's kind of the way the narrative has been. It's like, what a performance! They were amazing. It's kind of like, yeah, it wasn't that great. They were better than us, but it was, as I said, the game of fine margins. Is that the only difference you reckon? That they obviously had more time to prep?
I don't know, mate. You can't prove or disprove it. Do you know what I mean? It's just but
it is a factor that needs to be considered.
You know, I don't think anyone's going to really dig into that game anymore. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's gone and that's it. I don't know. I mean, the reality is, for Liverpool perspective, if you were a Liverpool fan, you'd be going, we haven't won at Old Trafford in years and we just scored 4 goals. You wouldn't give a fuck about anything else.
And it's a must win for them.
Yeah,
because they dropped any sort of points, they wouldn't have made Champions League.
They probably are now. It's the weird. The Champions League run at the minute is the weirdest thing for ages, because for all 3 teams, it's all in their hands. That's never happened before.
Well, it's not.
It is.
Is it all in Liverpool's hands? No, it's not all in Liverpool's hands technically.
Well, because of goal difference.
Yeah.
So Liverpool need to score 7 or 8 in the game.
No, if they just, all depends. All depends what Liverpool. But Liverpool need the better Leicester's goal return for this season. Yeah. So if Liverpool get +3 and they get +4.
I was reading that the way it would come down, but like, it's hard to tell. Like, Leicester would probably have to beat Tottenham by quite a lot.
It all depends on what score Liverpool beat Burnley and Palace.
And then what happens with Leicester and Chelsea? Obviously.
Yeah, we'll say Liverpool win 1-0 in their games. That means they have a 1-goal swing on Leicester. So technically, Leicester only need to win 2-0.
Yeah. But
And
ultimately, I think
only if Chelsea beat them 1-0.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But I think like if Liverpool win their games, they're going to get Champions League. If Leicester win all their games, they're going to get Champions League. If Chelsea win all their games, they're going to get Champions League. So technically, for all three teams, just win your games.
Who do you think's going to fall out?
I think Chelsea might.
I think so.
Yeah, maybe no. I don't know. I was thinking that whoever wins the cup will lose the thing.
Champions League.
But I don't know. I thought Leicester were really good against Chelsea. Like they had their number a bit. You know what I mean? They kind of matched them. My mate was telling me he just described Chelsea as like he's like they're just a plain chicken breast out of the oven. He's like they just don't have there's no spice to them. There's no nothing. They're just plain and drab. There's like, and you kind of think they actually are. Whenever I've been really full of praise at Tuchel. When you actually think of whenever they can stay in a game, but whenever they need to go and win something, it's like they don't actually look that good.
I think it's Werner's fault.
I don't know what he does.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's a bad player. I think he's a player who's short of confidence, and that shows something shocking.
Yeah.
Whenever he's in that
Could've had a
box,
barn door, like.
whenever he's going to shoot, I almost feel sorry for him. I almost want him to score past us one time. He has to score past
It's weird
us.
because there's no way. See, the thing is, whenever you look in the he was in the German league, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And you see the highlights, and he's like running through on goal with like 40 yards. I'm like, you just don't. It never happens in the Premier League. You don't get that type of space. There are times when he is through on goal, and he's just putting it over the bar, and you're like, he wouldn't do that. Like he's not that bad.
He still gets picked, so he does a job or he does a role for Chelsea to the point where they were like 7th when he took over. Yeah. Now they're potentially Champions League.
Tommy Abraham.
He doesn't get on.
He's their top goal scorer this season.
I think he's joint now with Werner.
What the fuck is he? You'd think you'd be on the bench or something like.
Doesn't like him. So when he's going to West Ham for like 30 million or 40 million.
You are now listening to MCPodcasting.